So it mind boggles me that most people believe this investment is super hard and unattainable, but in actuality, my 19-year-old brother was actually able to do it. And without giving it away, I want to start this video by telling you a story of a fellow team member here at Albi, one of our job management systems for the restoration industry. So I do one of these things called a get to know ya. And basically, as a founder of a software company, I can't possibly know all the employees that we have at the company, but they're really, really important to me. So we set up this one-on-one time called Get to Know Yas, and we sit down and we can chat, and it could be anybody in the company. They just book through my executive assistant. And this employee comes up and we have lunch. I ask him, hey, the typical question, what's your 5-year plan? And he describes to me that he wants to buy a house and have his family and have a normal car and a house with a 2-car garage. I'm like, okay, cool. What kind of house? Describe to me. And then he describes this like regular middle-class suburban house within the Chicagoland area. And I was sitting there perplexed. I'm like, why is that your 5-year plan? Why don't you just do it now? And he sits and he tells me that that is the hardest thing he could possibly imagine, and it's super complicated. He knows nothing about the real estate market. So I actually challenged him, and I told him, dude, you could do this in 90 days. Give him the whole framework. I give him my mom, who's a realtor. I give him a mortgage broker and an attorney. And he's actually under contract as we speak right now, 45 days later, on a beautiful home that him and his family can live in. That's just one of many, many, many stories. In this video, I kind of want to unpack real estate, how it works, and how I was able to actually build a multi-million-dollar real estate empire as a side gig on top of all the other stuff that I was doing. So let's dive in. So I was 18, just started this restoration company with my father, living pretty much paycheck to paycheck, very tight, in rent on this 1-bedroom apartment in beautiful Lisle, Illinois. I was paying about $900 a month for that specific apartment. And I realized that there were townhomes going for sale within the Bolingbrook area, which is about 15 minutes south of where I was, for $100,000 to $150,000. And at the time, I would qualify for a 5% interest rate, which made my payment about $750 a month. I thought that was an absolute steal. You would save $150 a month, and I would be able to own this property that I could potentially spruce up over time, and it would be mine versus me paying rent for somebody else's property. So I decided to go for it, and at the age of 19, I actually became a homeowner, and that just kind of gave me this little bug as I was growing the restoration company. Hey, what if we just start rinsing and repeating this? And eventually I moved out from that one townhome, put it in rent, moved into a single family home, spruced that house up, eventually moved a couple more times. And now I sit on a portfolio of about $2 million worth of real estate. I'm able to actually use some of that capital to build my family's dream home, which is a super, super cool project. But neither here nor there. What I really want to tell you guys is that real estate is super awesome because you make a very, very, very small capital investment and a very large property value appreciates typically, right? And it returns actually a lot. So in the example of the first townhouse that I bought, I put a total of $5,000 of my hard-earned money into that property, and then I paid $150 less every single month for the mortgage versus the rent. That $5,000 on that $105,000 property, that property is now worth about $200,000. So I made about $100,000 worth of profit if I were to sell that house today on a $5,000 investment. And the better part is, for the past 5 years, that property has been renting for $1,700 a month, which has not only paid off the mortgage of $700 every single month, but also brought in an extra $1,000 every single month of income to my family. And all that was on a simple decision to say, hey, I'm not gonna be a renter, I'm gonna be a buyer. Now, most people watching this video will be like, yeah, Alex, you got lucky, the market was great back then, and so on and so forth. I'm gonna tell you that the market is still great now. You might not make that extra $1,000 a month, but you'll still be able to live practically for free and have an appreciating asset. And it's actually very, very, very simple to do. So here's the 3 things that you need. The first thing that you need is credit. That's the number one thing I remember even my parents and everybody I listened to preaching. Make sure you pay your bills on time, make sure that you get a credit card at a young age, you pay it off, and you have great credit. Because if you don't have great credit, you're not able to get a mortgage company to actually lend you money, and therefore this whole plan kind of flops. So you really need to make sure you build your credit up and you take care of your credit. That's absolutely very important. The second thing that you need is capital. So by capital, I mean you need a stable job or some sort of income to be able to show to the bank that you are able to make the payments of the specific mortgage, and you need a bank to actually agree to let you purchase property, which with a good loan officer is not that hard. And then the third thing that you need is an actual team to help you find your dream property and transact that dream property. And the team's rather simple. You need a real estate agent, an attorney, and a loan officer. If you got those 3 people, you'll be golden. And it's actually, afterwards, it's a 60 to 90 day process. You find your dream home, it fits the budget, you transact it, and then you move into it. Real estate is very, very, very rewarding, and it's something that most people think is unattainable. But if you could afford rent, you could probably afford a mortgage.